Okay, I'm gonna say I'm gonna make sure you understand that these charts here, you should probably make a small version of each one of these on your study sheet. There's this one, probability to odds, right? That's very important. This takes you from probability to odds. And then there's one on page 16. Let's go to 16 real quick and highlight. I probably did that on the video that I posted. I'm not sure. But this takes you from odds to probability. This is on page 16. Yours should be a lot more colorful than mine. This is the one I used to make the video. Is the different booklet. Right, so odds to probability and probability to odds. You got to be comfortable going from one to the other, because sometimes one is more beneficial than the other. And sometimes plain and simple, they just ask you to come up with, to rewrite it. Okay, so let's go back to 21 now. So here we go, and I'm just going to jump right into examples here, but maybe what I will emphasize on 21 is that in favor of A. Right? So let's say you have a probability of A happening, then that A would come on the left side. And if it says odds against A, then A is on the right side. Okay. So let's actually use, I'm going to use a red pen maybe. Okay. What happened to my pen? It's falling apart. Okay. Against is there, and if it's in favor, it's in the front. And so I'm going to give you a variation. Really, when you're done going total minus A, you end up with A and not A. That's what you end up with. A, not A. Chocolate, not chocolate, right? Rain, not rain. Winning, not winning. So those are the things you're comparing here. When it's odds against, you end up with not A compared to A, exactly. See, so that's kind of like the pattern there that I want you to observe. As well, what highlighter am I going to use? I'm going to use pink. The total, right? The total is here, and but it will always be subtracted by A, right? So you got to remember that odds end up not having any totals as part of it. Okay, so let's so tell yourself this: I promise to never put the total in the odds. Okay, I will never put the total in the odds. I will always subtract something from the total, right? So if this is 355, you should not have a 355 show up here somewhere. It'll always be less than that because you're subtracting A from it. Whatever is up here, you're going to subtract it from the total to come up with the other number. Okay. All right. So here we go. The probability, very important, of a plane crashing is estimated to be 1 over 11 million. I just got these online. I don't know how accurate they are, to be honest. You can't trust Google these days. State the odds. There's that other. State the odds of. So odds needs to be accompanied with the word of, for, of, right? In favor. It needs to be. That way you know where to put it. Odds of the plane crashing. So we will go like this. Odds. So we will say crash. And on this side, not crashing, right? So this is the event. This is the event that everything revolves around. In this case, a plane crashing. Okay, so over here, the chances that it will crash would be just one. Right? There's just one instance where that happens. And on the other side, you're going to put 11 million. Be nice to have that in your bank account. And what did I tell you? I promised to never put the total, because that is the total number of planes that fly, right? Minus 1. You're going to take away the 1 from it. So this ends up being 1, 2, 10,999,999. And so if you have a hard time doing this in your head, just use your calculator. These are the odds. Okay. So you took the total from the probability and you subtracted what you put down in the first place. So it's very important for you to do that. Watch this. It says state the odds against crashing. Against crashing. That's your event. If it says against, right, this is the event that we're considering, then crash goes here and not crash goes here. In other words, you're simply flipping these numbers. So it would be 10,999,999 to 1. Okay. That's all. If you've already done the work of in favor and they ask for against, just flip the numbers. Okay, just reverse the order. Your head is spinning, right? That's okay, we'll keep going. The probability of a student passing the probability unit test is 95%. Hey, that's good, right? That's a pretty good chance, you may say. Can I ask you to write this as a fraction right away? This would be what? 95 over 100. 19 over 20 reduced. I'm going to keep it like this, but that would work too. All right. State the odds of, there's that word again, right? You want to go from probability to odds. Okay. So odds in favor of passing. Okay. So let's say this in favor. So that means that the event is passing, right? So as we pass, this would be not passing, which means failing, right? So pass, not pass. So from here, because it's a probability of the student passing, this is there are 95 out of 100 that pass, right? So this would be 100. I promise never to have the total. Right now that's the total. So I'm going to go minus 95. So that'd be 95 to 5. You can reduce that. You can divide it by 5. Maybe we will do that. 5 goes in there once, goes in 45 9 times. So that's 19 to 1. Reduced. Sorry. 19 to 1 would be the reduced one. Or you could have reduced a fraction and then probably come up with this right away. State the probability. Careful here. What does it say? State the odds? No. State the probability against a student passing. Another word for against is not passing. Write that down. So I want you to be familiar with that. Remember when I said what's the probability of not drawing an 8 or not drawing a face card, right? What did we do in that case? Probability of not, of pass, not. We would take 100 in this case. And then we would go 100 minus 5. Sorry, minus 95. Because 95 pass, right? So not passing is 100 minus 95, so that's a 5 over 100. That's the probability of not passing. State the odds of a student not passing. Odds of a student not passing the unit test. What is our event here? Odds of not passing, right? It's not passing, so we go pass, not, compared to pass. That's what it's asking for here. This is the event, write it down. In this case, we're interested in that event, which is not passing. So if it says odds of not passing, then that's what you want first. You want the not passing first. So we're going to say 5 to 100 minus 5. So it's 5 to 95. That would be, so just, I'm trying to get the wording, rewrite it in such a way that, you know, it makes you think. But really, look at this. We're just saying the opposite of what we said up here. Odds of a student passing would be this. This would be odds against a student passing. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to go to 22 here. Go to 22 and just try this one, the laser eye surgery. And Colton, make sure you try this. Page 22. Just write something down right now. I know you might be a little confused, maybe. It doesn't matter. Try to see if you could write something down there. Be careful what I ask. Is it probability or is it odds? What do I ask you for? Surgery. The probability of going blind after the surgery is 1 in 5 million. State the odds of going blind after surgery. So you'd say 1. You know what? You're still in the beginner stage. So odds of blind. So that's the event. So this would be blind and then not blind. That's what we're comparing. So there'd be 1 to 5 million. I would strongly encourage you to show that step, right? And it's 4,999,999. There we go. That would be the odds there. The odds against going blind, we are just going to flip that. We're not going to redo all the work we've already done. Just flip this over like that. State the probability. Probability against going blind after surgery. You could try a couple things. So probability of not blind would be, we know it's still 5 million total. So this is against going back to probability. And this would be 5 million minus 1. So that's 4,999,999 over 5 million, right? So that is the probability as a fraction. Especially when this is actually not a bad one to figure out, but the other one, 1 over 5 million, that's going to be 0 point followed by a bunch of zeros, right? So we just tend to stick with the fraction. Okay, one more, and then I will leave you to it, okay? So we're going to go back to the top one here, to this one. Okay, so make sure you write this down, right? It's very important to have your notes. The odds against, I'm going to highlight that part. The odds against. So odds needs to be followed up with either for or against, right? A smart TV being defective from factory would be this. If a company produces 64,000 TVs per month, how many would be defective in a year? Okay, so I'm asking you a lot of things here. Let's do one step at a time. If it says odds against a TV being defective, this is the event, right? That means that this is defective. And so this is not defective. Does that make sense that I came up with that? Watch, guys. It's odds against a TV being defective. So that's the event. And if it says against, then it's on this side of the colon, right? So that's why I determined that this means there are 3 defective and 2,000 that are not, 20,000 that are not defective. All from these 2 words here. Okay. So, how many would be defective in a year? I'm going to do this. Probability, I'm going to make a prediction. And I need to figure out probability of defective times 64,000. That's going to give me how many are defective in a month. Okay, so where do I get the probability of defective from? Where am I going to get that probability? Watch this, guys. The very first thing you're going to do, is you're going to add these 2 up to turn that into a probability. You're going to add those 2 numbers, and that's going to give you your total. And then one of these 2 numbers is going to go up in the numerator. Which one is it going to be? Well, I want defective. I've determined that based on this wording, that the 3 tells me that. You're like, right? Shake it off. So that's 64 times 64,000. So let's clean this up. This would be 3 over 20,003 times 64,000 TVs. Let's figure out how much that would be. You grab your calculator. You go 3 divided by 20,003. Ooh, that's a small number. That's okay. Times 64,000. What does that tell me? 9.598 per month, right? Defective TVs per month. So what do I need to do to that number to get the yearly amount? Multiply that by 12. So I'm not rounding yet. I'm just going to multiply that by 12 months. So I go times 12. That's 115.18 ... which is approximately 115 TVs. TVs defective. That is your final answer. So watch this, guys. I went from odds to probability here. Right? I took the 20,000 to 3 and turned it into 3 over 20,003, right? That's what happened there. To be continued. To be continued. I would like you to try. You know what? Let's just leave it there. Tomorrow you're probably gonna have an AC on odds and probability. And so then we're going to continue with this further.